Welcome to this day 2 of our Great Dictator Dic-Off competition. We're down to our final 8. You can still place your bets on the remaining 8 at draftdictators.com. Of course, the official bookkeeper of dictator competitions. We are going to get to our final 8 bracket, narrow it down to 4, 2, and declare the winner of the greatest or worst, depending on how you look at it, hopefully worst, dictator of all time. Let's get to day 2 of the Great Dictator Dic-Off. So, with me today, before we get to the brackets, we have, of course, Lane Gingersnap, head researcher here at Louder with Crowder.
So I figured
on audio, they can't hear you.
You have to say hi.
Oh, hello.
And if you move the mic closer,
it helps if you talk.
Really, there's a chair here.
Oh, you know what? It's because the prong, the wrong spot. And I'm sure you know by now, he ruins everything. But he's here today, and day 2 is Captain Morgan.
We're talking about dictators, and I ruin everything.
Well, you rule the office finances with an iron fist.
Oh, that's true. I'll take some notes.
That's why we call. You don't even know, but when you're not around the office, you don't even know what people call you.
He doesn't need to.
You seemed like you were about to tell me.
I wasn't going to tell you. The penetrator. Now,
what? Actually,
we have. That's kind of a compliment. So, and of course, because of our legal obligations. From HR, Sam is here.
Hi, Stephen. You'll notice that I'm going to have to write myself up because I'm wearing my Jewish garb here, but I wanted to make myself loud and proud today because Herr Scheisskopf, I think, is going to be back today, and there's a lot of antagonism in the office.
Is that what it is? I thought it was a Meyer Lansky lookalike competition.
It is not, no.
No? Okay, well, you win. So, to bring up, and of course, you know that we had to eliminate from the brackets because let's just be really clear, Toolman, of course, right. Would be unfair to include him. Hitler, bad, horrible, right? So Hitler is the worst dictator of all time. There's no one who even comes close to Hitler, and I swear that I won't even insinuate that anyone here is as bad as Hitler.
It's true.
Hitler's awful. Hitler bad. Yep. No one even comes close. So we didn't think it would be fair to use him in the Great Dictator Dic-Off. Dic-Off, I'm sorry. It's difficult being this childish consistently. And we do, however, have... What was that, Tollman? I don't have my headphones on.
Oh, he's not competing.
No, he's not competing. Yeah. But we do have him as a measuring stick. So we actually compare these horrible dictators on our Hitler scale, as you saw us use yesterday. So we rate them on a scale from 1 to... numerous Hitlers. We really haven't put a cap on it. Here to present the final 8 is actually the Fuhrer himself. We have him in studio on retainer, Adolf Hitler.
Hello, Crowder.
Yes, you're back.
Hello, Juden.
Yes. Oh boy,
Did you hear that he's proud?
Yeah.
He's Jewish and gay.
Okay.
That's a double suicide.
Okay, all right. You're lucky you took the day off.
Yeah, no kidding.
Day 1. So our final 8, let's just show these really quickly. You can show them is we have the Ayatollah, right? We've narrowed it down to the Ayatollah, who's going to be going up against Mao. Stalin is up against Saddam Hussein. Pol Pot, I think, is the favorite here at this point. Up against Castro. Kim Jong-il up against Papa Doc. And Papa Doc is the dark horse, right? The betting.
Literally and figuratively.
Yep. Yes.
It's like a 16 seed, right?
Yeah. I think the odds now at draftdictators.com have him at they have him at a minus 900 underdog? Is that what it is?
That's what we ended up yesterday.
Okay, still at 900.
The lines moved today.
I don't think the lines have moved because we just started the program. So those are the final 8 brackets. We're going to narrow this down pretty quickly to the final 4. I guess before, do you have someone who you're betting on?
Of these two people or overall? Overall, I've got to go with Pol Pot, I think.
Pol Pot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He killed a lot of people.
He did kill a lot. As a percentage, it is the highest that we
It is the highest of the population. I actually visited the country, so I have some insight on the Pol Pot.
You just had to mention it, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I went.
See this?
Yeah. It sounds pretty angry.
Yeah. I don't know.
I would do something about it.
Well, yeah, I know you. I don't. Let's just
no. Listen.
Caesar Walter?
Hey, listen.
I do.
Sign of the cross. We're good.
Yeah. No, that's not. You're a pagan, aren't you?
I don't know.
No, technically he was Catholic.
No, he wasn't technically Catholic.
He was a Catholic adjacent.
Hold on a second. Do you hear that? It's the sound of us just losing our Walther sponsorship.
All I know is we're number 1.
Yeah, right. I don't know what that means. Ayatollah, of course, versus Mao. But overall, you say Pol Pot, Lane?
Yeah.
Ginger Snap?
I Mao is the one I'm riding with here.
Mao?
Well,
Yep.
because I just like to imagine what Mao could not like to imagine.
Jeez. Yeah.
But
Wow.
if one were to imagine what he would have done in Pol Pot's position, I think Cambodia might not exist as an entity at all today.
That's probably true. But you could also say that about the Viet Cong with Pol Pot, kind of created the atmosphere of Pol Pot, but we don't have any Viet Cong here.
That we know of.
Fair.
That's true. We don't know. There could be Viet Cong adjacent, and Sam, you can't bet. You're precluded from betting.
I am not taking part in this whole thing there.
Well, that's okay, good, because we're not going to let you bet anyway. So
Yeah, it was our choice, not yours.
the Ayatollah and Mao. Let me just give you a couple. We're going to cycle through these pretty quickly. We went through this yesterday. Of course, all the references are available at loudwithcrowder.com. This was inspired by the fact that a lot of young people, they know about the Fuhrer, but they don't know about the rest of these dictators. I didn't learn about them in school. We kind of skimmed over Stalin, but Adolf Hitler left his mark, a bad one.
It's a good mark.
Yeah,
No, bad one.
yeah, it's bad. Hitler bad, just to be clear. And we wanted to ensure that everyone was able to educate themselves. So I do encourage you to go peruse the references. The Ayatollah, this person, of course, awful. Here we do, actually. We do have just a quick clip because we pulled these up. Here's the Ayatollah. Actually, it's a video, I think. Sam from HR knows this. That's right. He was in charge of the state without actually, the interesting fact about the Ayatollah, without actually being a government official. Let's roll the clip, Supreme.
What is your own role in this government that is to come?
I would not have any position in the future government as such, being the president or a prime minister. And my job is not to be as such. I will be some sort of supervising their activities. I will give them guidance. And if I see some deviation or some mistake, I will remind them how to correct it, give the general guidance.
You would be, in effect, the strong man of Iran.
به این ترتیب شما مرد قوی ایران خواهید بود.
اینطور فرض کنید.
You may assume so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they had chairs in 1979 or a couch. Why are they all sitting on the floor?
Also, they're using that term strong man very loosely.
Very, very loosely.
Well, unless you're a woman in a hijab, then he was very strong.
It's true.
Yeah. His right hand was exceptionally strong.
He got to keep you. Ayatollah hand strong. Ayatollah ain't easy. All right.
I don't think that's a thing.
We're going to go quickly narrow this down to the 4 because we want to get a little more granular. Between the Ayatollah and Mao, certainly down to our final 4 bracket is going to be Mao.
Oh.
For sure.
Can't really argue with that one.
Nope.
Yeah.
Adolf, let's put Mao in the final bracket.
For Ayatollah.
I don't know about that. What do
You hated communists, didn't you?
You did.
you know, but the whole enemy of my...
Kind of a mutual respect.
Yeah, kind of a mutual respect,
Really?
you know, admiration. We also, I mean, the Fuhrer, as horrible as he is, Hitler bad, right? We all know Hitler bad.
Hitler bad?
But he has earned his theme song.
Bad.
All right, next portion of this bracket, we have Stalin and Saddam Hussein. We have Joseph Stalin and Saddam Hussein. We talked about this again yesterday. Stalin. All right. Well, you know what? Really quickly, we're just going to, since we're knocking out, we know we're going to knock out Saddam Hussein.
Well, hold on. Give him his due. He did kill his own countrymen with mustard gas, I believe.
He did. Yeah, he
Was
did.
it mustard
nice
gas or was it just a
mustache.
chemical?
It
That's-
was,
maybe not mustard
I don't
gas.
know exactly the component.
It was a chemical attack on his own people. I mean, that does put him in a category, I think, by himself, other than maybe Assad now. But
Yes. But Saddam Hussein, some quick, fast facts. Let's see. What do we have here? Oh, yeah, that's right. He did have a massive car collection. And he was famous for smoking a cigar during this. Is it bath party? How do you
it was
pronounce
Beth.
This guy sounds so
yeah.
cool.
He's not cool.
And this is kind of one of the famous clips. If you haven't seen this of Saddam Hussein, he did this sitting there smoking a cigar while purging Iraq of his political opponents. Here's a clip.
بردد شعار الحزب ويغادر القاعة.
Here's the thing. Everything about him is terrible except the fact that he's smoking, which looks really cool.
79 was a rough year for the region.
It really was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really.
they
Yeah.
were struggling.
It was
You
a
know,
tough.
Hitler, why are you so pro-smoking? You didn't smoke and you held...
Shut your mouth!
No, I will not.
Propagandist. I know.
Yeah, look, hey, come on. You guys, will have you take it outside afterwards, and we've already placed bets.
We already know how that
Gladly.
goes, though.
So let's put through to the final four. I think we all agree here it's going to be Joseph Stalin.
Yeah.
One of the
It has
highest.
to be.
Again.
The highest total, arguably, second highest total death count. Mein Führer, put Joseph Stalin in the final four.
I don't want to say I'm noticing a trend, but I'm starting to notice a trend.
What's your trend?
What's the implication?
Permeating ideology that seems to come out on top. Quite frequently.
yeah.
All right.
true.
That is true. A lot of people don't know that because I don't know if you know this. Fascism is inherently right-wing, according to Google and
Apparently.
Merriam-Webster.
Yeah. I'm also noticing like a starving a lot of your population to death trend. A lot of their death count comes from that. So, yeah.
Well, they couldn't know. That's the thing.
I think they could.
Yeah, well, they should have guessed.
Should have been able to figure it out.
Not killing all the teachers is probably
That's a good
an
one.
interesting place.
That's
to
a good
start.
one too. Or the farmers.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Or the doctors.
Or
yeah.
brings us to the next bracket. We have Pol Pot and Fidel Castro.
This is a walk-off.
Well-
This is like a 16 versus a 1 seed or what?
Well, I think we just kind of, again, we're narrowing it down to the final four, but, you saw Saddam smoking a cigar, and then, of course, you have Fidel Castro. He liked his cigars. But Pol Pot didn't just execute intellectuals. Pol Pot executed people who wore glasses.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, because he
Put him back on.
Okay.
Thank you. You look so handsome.
I don't know. Well,
You're still bad, though. And gay now?
no, I'm not entirely sure. We didn't. No. No, Adolf, come on. There'll be time for this later. Why is the hat gone? Too hot?
It's getting hot in here.
Okay, all right. It's getting hot.
So take off all your clothes?
What clip do we have here? Okay, because we know who's going to be moving on. So since he will not be moving on, and one thing I will say, though, is Fidel Castro, we're going to connect these final four to issues that may apply today, that you may be seeing kind of permeating culture today, because the ideologies never die. Right? These people die, but the ideologies live on. I mean, you can even look at the results with Joseph Stalin. You can look at the ideas of Marx. You can look, he was kind of, right, he kind of was a contemporary of Trotsky. But we do notice communism existing there. But the ideas, for example, of Fidel Castro, let's not be mistaken here. You had Michael Moore say that Cuba had better healthcare than the United States in the 2000s, right, where he went there. And he doesn't show you the fact that it's basically a Blazing Saddles fake town, and the people who actually, need health care can't get it, but a few people in the hospitals that they kind of keep as show hospitals for the United States. Fidel Castro ruled his people through what? Through fear. This is what leftists use. They'll try and say that the right does that. I don't know if you know this. It's hard to rule people through fear when you allow them more First Amendment rights and more Second Amendment rights. Also, something else I'm noticing, not a lot of these fascists, these dictators, not a lot of them permitting their citizens to remain freely armed.
Yeah,
why
that's
would
a
you?
big one.
Yeah.
You have to take the guns from the people.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they won't get on the train.
Yeah. That's an awful way to put it.
Wow.
But I understand why that would be your perspective. And that's also like taking a gift from God and slapping him in the face. You think about Cuba. We talked about the cigars.
Yeah.
Right? Think about the weather, the soil. They don't need humidors in Cuba. It's the perfect climate, perfect humidity, and it's a hellscape. Compare that to California.
Same.
Yeah, same thing.
Take beautiful places and they really screw it up.
You've got to work really, really hard. So it's not one of those situations where it's like, well, hey, look, it's the luck of the draw. It was a time in history. You do see a through line here where a lot of them were starting off on third base.
Yeah. Well, and look, I don't want to. Pol Pot's obviously going to win this and move on.
Yes,
to the
of
next
course.
round. I understand that, but Fidel Castro isn't going to lose for lack of effort.
No.
He tried really hard and was a really terrible person. He just had some limited, abilities. As far as being on an island will do that.
Yes, and I would even say that Che Guevara, worse than Castro, obviously wasn't an official dictator, but what he wanted for Cuba, what he wanted to see in the modern world, is as evil as any dictator here. He just picture Adolf Hitler, who's bad, who's terrible, who's
Very
honestly clearly very bad.
Every time.
You're a bad dude.
Yeah.
Sorry, just get used to it.
Without some would call it charm. And I know that's hard to believe. But if you can believe it, Che Guevara was less charming than Adolf Hitler, despite Tom Morello putting him on a T-shirt. Baseball fan, Fidel Castro, fast fact. Here he is in 2010 at a Venezuela versus Cuba game with Hugo Chavez. And I'm surprised. The players, by the way, starving.
It really is.
It's Liam Neeson. Of course, fast fact, you may not know this, Justin Trudeau's father. So the winner
Allegedly.
Sure. Winner here, clearly a walk-off going into our final four. Pol Pot.
The winner.
There you go, Adolf. Let's bring him.
Wow.
Where's his theme song? He's earned it.
Play the song!
Fine.
You know what I will say? For all of my criticisms of Adolf Hitler, he was punctual.
Except
do you know that?
for D-Day. Very,
Very
not
late.
punctual.
Yeah.
Very tardy.
Some would say that was
It
fashionably
was
late.
all part of my plan.
Yes.
Oh yeah, sure was.
Was it?
Yeah,
It
whatever.
was a preemptive tardiness.
Yes, you plan to lose.
It's the long game.
Yeah, well.
Well, how long, Mr. Third Reich?
We will see.
Okay. I think he's just going to have a comeback every time I say something.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, look, it's really tough. You're sending them
Hard to
straight
argue
down
with a
center
dead man.
plate to Adolf Hitler.
I'm the Führer. You are the failure.
I don't think that's true. You have no Reich.
All right. Kim Jong-il versus Papa Doc. We're going to narrow this down. Oh,
boy.
Look, I'm not going to lie to you. Clearly, Papa Doc is going to move on.
Fix is in.
Yeah. But not the fix is in. I just think Papa Doc's hilarious and a very good lesson in how people can be manipulated by someone who's not even really that effective.
Did he shoot a negative 38 in an 18-hole golf course?
He could have.
He looks like
38
the
under
guy from
par.
Police
It's not
Academy.
well, technically.
I get you with the sound
I call
effects.
it negative
Yeah.
30.
Yeah. Is it Papa Undaken? Yeah.
So Kim Jong-il obviously is going to be knocked out here. The Great Dictator. Again, all references available at outofcar.com. Link in the sidebar. Of course, none of this happens without you, Mug Club. Look, took a risk with these two. Hopefully it works out. I have absolutely no idea. Could be 2 days of we wish it didn't happen. But Kim Jong-il, I remember I actually was no longer welcome at a show at a network where I worked because the day that Kim Jong-il died and they showed all of the people crying, I said something to the effect of, I think the entire nation deserves a Razzie. And if you're going to force people to lie on camera, get a nation that can act. Not my finest joke.
I think it's pretty good.
I still, I stand by the sentiment.
Yeah.
And they got a lot of angry letters, I guess. And then they asked me on air how to solve the North Korea problem. I wasn't ready for that. I said, I don't know, like nuke them.
To which they said,
They were like, well, we're not having you back. I was like, well, I don't know. You expect me to solve this crisis now?
What's the problem? Could you be more specific?
Yeah, I mean, what do you want me to do? I mean, I don't like them, but they're not really a threat. I don't wake up in a cold sweat. So here actually is the day or the week or within 48 hours of Kim dying. This was December 2011. And for a deity, was taken out by a heart attack, which if he were not a deity and I looked at him, I would say like, oh yeah, that guy's going to have a heart attack. But I don't know the rules for immortals. So apparently something
I
finally
didn't know
got him.
cholesterol was the one thing that would get them. It's like their kryptonite. Okay.
Cholesterol, celestial.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, Hitler.
And you know what? The crazy thing is apparently his good cholesterol was also high, HDL.
Very high.
So now I
Highest
guess
levels they've ever seen.
what we know about cholesterol, I don't know anymore. So I don't know. Do whatever you think is best. Listen to your doctor. I am not one of them. Here are the transpiring events after he died, and see if you side with 2011, Stephen, who thought the entire nation deserved a Razzie, because I thought at the time, and still do, that it was funny.
되어 있을 것이며 장군님의 성스러운 혁명실력과 불멸의 혁명 업적은
No one cries like that. I get there's a cultural difference.
Oh, you stupid Kim.
Why?
Listen.
The leader is dead.
Oh, come on.
Stupid Koreans.
Oh, right.
Really, what they respond is, Stephen, those are crisis actors. That is not real people at all. There, no, those
You
are
don't
not.
want to hide the fact that Kim Jong-il was vaxxed.
He was vaxxed, Stephen. It was myocarditis.
This is all very insensitive. Everyone is grieving, and they're free to grieve in their own way. I mean, this is just.
낙지고에서, huh? Shut up.
Jeez.
What did you say?
That was the cattiest bilingual
Wow.
insult I've ever heard. I don't even know what it was.
I don't.
You said shut up twice.
Oh, okay. So
different
it
languages?
sounds worse than that language.
It's a very harsh.
Which language was that?
That was Korean.
Oh, really?
South dialect.
Oh, okay.
So they wouldn't recognize you as speaking their language.
I barely understand a word that they.
Would they understand you in North Korea?
Probably not. I was at the North Korean restaurant in Bangkok, and there was a family from South Korea.
Wait, hold on a second. You were in Bangkok.
Yes.
To be clear, for those of you who don't know, this is Siam. And
Thailand?
there was a North Korea
So
restaurant.
the North Korean government operates like cultural outreach restaurants in a few countries in Asia, and one of them is in and everybody that works
Hold
there
on,
has
what's
to
on the
live
menu? Bugs?
No, it's really like the highest quality. It's very, very good food.
Really?
Because they're spending a lot of money to make people think North Korea's
Yeah, but they
actually
don't
not that
have
bad.
any of that.
It's like duty-free dumplings.
Pyongyang has a lot. But
Pyongyang.
listening to the South Korean family try to order from the North Korean waitress, the kids couldn't do it. The grandpa was the only one that could do it because the language has changed so much.
Wow. Well, it's like the Tower of Babel,
It is.
I guess.
Shorter.
Well, I'm sorry, you're not going to like this, but Kim Jong-il is not making it through just because Papa Doc, funniest of the dictators.
Oh, come on.
Papa Doc is going on to our final four, and I'm hearing from draftdictators.com that now he's only a plus 700 favorite. So you can still place your bets right now. It could be easy money. Just put 100 down. Draftdictators.com, the official bookkeeper of the Great Dic-Off. Adolf, let's put in that final bracket. Let's knock out Kim Jong-il. Papa Doc.
Hell of a Final Four we got.
It is.
Yeah, one thing is not like the others.
I don't know. What?
That's racist.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's
I didn't
kind of
mean it
racist,
like that.
dude.
I don't want to side
I
with
don't stand for that kind of behavior.
Yesterday we were running a straight ship, and now we get him in here just throwing racial insults around.
It wasn't the race thing.
We were better off with Nick DiPaolo.
That is saying something about
Did
me.
you see this?
I need to reflect.
I know. Well, look,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, they were so young. Full of life. And hatred.
I'm really glad we put him on retainer because without, of course, Hitler bad, but without him on retainer for these installments, I don't think any of this works.
No, you're right. Yeah, definitely need dead Hitler.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he's alive.
Well, in our
Center of the universe.
Yep. He can. Here's the thing: Hitler may be dead, but you can keep him alive in your hearts if you choose. Now,
Can I ask a question?
I don't know.
Why is the Jewish...
Yeah, that's why I don't know if you can't ask the question. Although now I'm intrigued.
Is this a joke?
Why is a Juden dressed like that? He looks like a detective who just solves a case that they're not the chosen ones.
Okay.
So I will tell you a little story about this.
Please don't.
Okay.
Sorry, I asked.
Oh, you will be sorry, Herr Hitler.
We already are.
So, with a lot of Orthodox Jews, the hats denote what religious movement you're in. And if you wear the wrong hat, it's like wearing blue into Blood's territory. But all of the Jews are united against Dreckfressers like you. So if you walk into my hood, we're going to F you up.
Yeah, okay. I see your tattoo as a door.
I will be talking to you after this is over.
Whatever.
I don't like any of this.
I don't.
This seems like something is wrong. I can't put my
it
finger on it, but
it does. But you know what? We do this without a net. All right, let's go through our final four. By the way, least intimidating threat ever.
Yes. If you walk into my hood, buddy.
Yeah.
it was very Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, very, I had to combine the two. I don't know how to.
No.
Don't wear sideburns. Don't wear yarmulkes. Just stay neutral.
He needs to stay out of Boca Raton.
Yeah.
I'm shaking in my lederhosen.
Well, there you go. The rough streets of the Boynton Beach Club. Okay.
Feeling a little gassy, Hitler?
So, Mao, we're going to go through this here. And obviously we did it kind of got away from us in yesterday's installment because there's a lot of information on all these dictators. And I do think that you should be familiar with all of them because understanding history, of course, is one of the most effective ways to avoid repeating it, which is why we tear down statues now and erase books and rewrite them. I don't know if you know this. The United States, you can actually see it through our whole bracket, not the first place to instate slavery, and still goes on. Over 40 million slaves across the world today because the spirit of fascism, communism, collectivism, dictators still lives on. So, hey, if you want to do some good in the world, educate yourself. There's still some good that you can do. I don't know why that's funny. I hear people laughing.
I don't.
That's okay. That's fine.
That might be
Nothing
you.
funny about it. It's
No.
a good way to raise your economy.
I'm saying, if you want to feel for the plight of people, you could look at Africa, literally anywhere in the middle of the country, and see Christians getting slaughtered by the thousands, or the wrong sect of Muslims being.
You're getting Hitler too excited.
Yeah. Let's.
So maybe just stop with the fear.
And I don't think we talk about that because Africa has it figured out.
They do.
If you were aliens to land on planet Earth today, and you were to look at it, on a 3D, you would say, "Oh, let's go to Africa and let's pick their brains."
No, I saw Black Panther.
Yeah, I mean the leaders, by the way, not the people of Africa. And it doesn't apply to white farmers in South Africa.
No, because you know who kills when they come here? Nigerian Americans. They're great. So it's clearly not the people. It's not a DNA thing. So it's a stupid argument. It's
Right.
Oh, I
terrible
thought you
system.
meant literally kill. I was
No,
lost.
like
for
they
a second.
crush it.
That's the Haitians, which will bring us back to Papa Doc. Haitian Americans, they
everything starts and ends with Papa Doc.
Everything starts and ends with Papa
It really
Doc.
does.
He is the alpha and the omega.
It's all sacrilegious, but whatever.
Yeah, no, I don't mean it, of course, but I think he's hilarious. So Mao, now that we're down to the final four, we can spend a little bit more time. You know the death count if you paid attention yesterday. It's up to 60 million, correct, Ginger Snap?
Yeah, and you can get up to 60 million. People say 40 million. It's high enough where a lot of people died.
Yes.
Tens of millions of people should be enough.
Yeah.
I think.
And we'll go through the wars that he started. The wives that he had is pretty interesting. I guess, the foundation that he laid for a lot of leftists here today, and it still lives on, by the way. And I don't mean super far back. We'll show you some politicians who still to this day, people who are active, who were actively inspired by Mao. They say they look to Mao for inspiration. This is still a real thing. And that can only be done under this cloak of darkness, where they hope that you don't really know a whole lot about Mao, and unfortunately a lot of people under 30 don't. So wars that Mao was involved with, he supported the, obviously North Korea in the Korean War. Yeah. He committed 250,000 volunteers to that war. Human shields.
Not volunteers.
No. He sent them in, without shoes.
None of them raised their
barefoot quite frequently into the North Korean winter. It was a very enjoyable experience.
Yes. And I should say, before we get to shoes, obviously no guns for a lot of them. They just went in. They were pretty much just going in the way.
Just run that way.
Yes. And you often don't realize this because we're so disconnected from evil in our modern day life. You watch a film like Braveheart. It reminds me of Longshanks, where he says, "Fire the arrows." And he says, "But sir, won't we hit our own troops?" He goes, "Yes, but we'll hit theirs as well." You're like, "Oh wow, no one's that bad. They have to make you root for William Wallace." That's exactly what Mao did to the tune of 250,000. Let alone the tens of millions of people dead. What else do we have? We actually do have a clip here, I believe, Ginger Snap. He, of course, helped instigate the 69 border clash with the Soviet Union. This was, Zhenbao Island, if you don't remember this, in the Ussuri River. Here's a clip.
On March 2, 1969, a group of Chinese troops ambushed Soviet border guards on Zhenbao Island, resulting in heavy losses on both sides. While both sides have blamed each other for the start of the conflict, a consensus has emerged that the border crisis was a premeditated act of aggression orchestrated by the Chinese.
Interesting fact about that conflict is the Chinese soldiers with the Russians, to try and get them mad, they would moon them. Mm-hmm. To which the Russian soldiers would laugh, and they would taunt the Chinese soldiers simply with portraits of Mao.
Use Mao against Mao.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, "Here's my ass." And like, "Here's your leader."
Joke's on you.
You can say he has ass face.
And then they got really pissed off, and about 70 people on each side died.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that part's not funny. That part's not funny.
Well, I mean, if you start out mooning and then people die,
it is funny if your last words are, "Look at my ass,"
and then you get hit by a shell.
That's written on your tombstone as final words.
Mao did have some balls, though, to instigate that war, knowing full well that the Soviets had nukes that they were more than willing to use, because they said, "We are more than willing to use these."
Yeah.
Like, it.
Sometimes I have to roll the dice.
How do we start? I don't know. Moon?
Yeah. Show them your ass. See what
happened. Yeah. They don't nuke, we move forward.
They show you a picture of me?
Charge!
Build tunnel. That's what he started building tunnels, by the way.
Yeah, they did.
Clear.
He paid the laborers very well to dig those tunnels.
Yes, he did. Yeah, with no shoes, though.
Yeah, well.
They just made them. So,
that's the funniest war.
What?
I'm sorry. Start off by mooning. I thought that was just something, again, going back to Braveheart, that we saw the Scottish do, which I thought was pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
Until that one guy got shot in the butt cheek with the arrow, and I was like, ooh, that was a bad idea.
Yeah, it was a bad
Maybe
idea.
get some cover first. But gosh, this one actually started that way. I love it.
It's always surprising to me that they're surprised by the arrows. Like, that's the first thing that's coming, you would imagine, back then in the battlefield. It's like, okay, if we have to place a bet, what do we think is coming our way first? Arrows. Every single time it's arrows.
Every single time. It's arrows. Yeah, from distance, arrows. It's the only thing they have.
Moon them and don't face your opponent for a while. See what happens.
Yeah. It's even worse in the, like, when you have ballistic guns and stuff. It's like, all right, so he mooned me. Boop.
Well, the good news is a lot of the Chinese soldiers did not. So something else that he established was the Ministry of State Security, right? Basically, his secret police. Mm-hmm. And this is something that you still see pretty much in every country, right? You have covert operatives. So I don't necessarily want to condemn them for something that is done here in the United States to varying degrees. Interesting fact about Mao, he had several wives. So, Ginger Snap, I'll need you to help me with this.
Yeah.
First one is Yang Kaihui.
Yeah, it's closest. That's
3 children. Mm-hmm. And I guess this person was tortured and executed by Chinese nationalists.
Very good.
That's a way to go. Then
I didn't mean very.
KMT?
He Zizen. First name He.
Yeah. He Jizhen. Yeah.
6 children had with her. And then this woman sustained shrapnel wounds on the Long March.
What's the Long March?
Oh, that's...
March?
Yeah.
It's when the
No, Hitler,
Please sit down.
Yeah.
we know you can march. We got it.
It's one of your strong
Nice
suits,
uniform,
but Hitler
whatever.
bad, to be
Yes,
clear.
Hitler bad. Good marchers.
He's good at marching.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. But what is
The Long March is when the commies were fighting the Chinese nationalists. So Mao versus Chiang Kai-shek. And they were in
went on a
southeastern
march?
China, and they marched way up north out of the mountain.
And she died.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was their comeback. It was kind of the comeback of the commies,
Okay.
if you will.
Well, then he also had another wife, Xiang King. We don't need to go through all of these. Or
She's a Kang.
Xiang King. And then Zhang Yufeng, who, by the way, was a drink server on Mao's private train. And it wasn't even liquor. Little horn
Just
dog.
tea.
It was just tea.
Wow. Well, what kind of tea?
That tea from Zoolander.
Is that what it was? Yeah. 10 kids. I don't know which one is most notable here, but we'll provide all these references so that you can kind of go down the rabbit hole. It's fun. If you're looking for something to do tonight, you'll see all these links, and you can read about all of his 10 screw-ups. I wonder if ever any of those teenagers talk back to their dad.
Oh, no. It's Mao.
I wish I was never born, Dad.
Well, I can take care of that, son. Have you heard the abandoned child mountain? Yeah. We have that.
Mao was also not the best dad. He allegedly abandoned 3 of his children during the Chinese Civil War.
See?
So him and Papa Doc had something in common.
They did. Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, at this point, what the hell's the difference? Might as well just put it all on the table. This is something that's pretty interesting, right? The Cultural Revolution. You'll hear about this a lot, and you'll hear about this, and they'll talk about it on the left, certainly on college campuses.
Yeah.
But they don't tell you what the Cultural Revolution was, and it's the foundation for a lot of modern leftist ideology, including what you learn in school. This is why, actually, we do have a clip, Anita Dunn, who was in the Obama administration. I can't remember her exact relation. We'll have it there in a lower third. Has been a huge part of the DNC for a while. And here she is saying that when looking for inspiration, she turns to great leaders in the past, and she mentions, and then you go, wait, was that Mao? Yeah, that's what she says.
And the third lesson and tip actually come from 2 of my favorite political philosophers, Mao Zedong and Mother Teresa.
Well, there you have it. Some would say that's horrifying.
That's a bad thing.
She's currently serving as senior advisor in the Biden administration.
Oh,
right.
So she's not done yet.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No, she's
that was
not
a really
done.
bad pun. I didn't mean it.
Well, when they ask Donald Trump, for example, and this is the problem. There's no accountability for the left in a lot of ways, and you'll notice this trend with these dictators. Pretty much all of them lean left, and even those who would maybe be considered more right wing, it's really just because they were enemies of communists at that point in time. They certainly weren't for limited government and a more free and armed citizenry. What you see here is a lack of accountability completely. No one can ask Anita Dunn. They can ask President Donald Trump, hey, will you condemn white supremacists and neo-Nazis? Yeah. Which he did, right? You have that. You guys have seen the clip. We said, I'm not talking about neo-Nazis and racists who should be condemned totally, okay? Have we gotten that out of the way? He went on for, I'm done with that, right? I've condemned them. Don't like Nazis. Don't say I like Nazis. Are you going to clip this? They're going to clip this. Holy hell. And then Anita Dunn, who serves as an advisor in the former Vice President Biden's administration, no one will ask her, hey, you know that one of the worst genocidal maniacs of all time who you look to for inspiration? You sure about those 5 minutes? Shouldn't it come up?
Somebody should have asked her and been like, well, hold on. You just made a reference to Mao. Do you know that Mao killed maybe 60 million people and did some very, very bad things to his own children? Like, this is not somebody you should be looking to for any kind of inspiration, because it's in the same breath. Like, anytime you mention Hitler, right, this question gets asked, rightfully so. Right. Hitler bad. We've all talked. I'm
Awful.
sorry, but I'm not sorry. You're bad.
Yeah.
And Mao should be treated the same way.
Yes.
And he's not.
I think you're giving her a hard time.
We are.
She might have been talking about her cat, Meow.
Hitler.
Oh,
Hitler.
come on.
She's
she
black.
goes to her
Does
cat
that
for
change your
advice.
opinion?
She says, hello, pussycat.
I'm not saying it
what
should.
What do you think I should do today? And the pussycat says, meow.
I didn't know that Hitler, you can't tell dad jokes when you never fathered children.
He tried.
I, sir, fathered a whole country.
Okay, all right, that's true. That's fair. You know what? I don't like you, but that is a fair counter argument.
A little heated there.
But something at and Ginger's Net, we talked about this. The Cultural Revolution is the basis for a lot of these guilt sessions that you'll see. Or the idea of checking your privilege, right? Yeah. These struggle sessions, they stem. If you look at what Mao taught people, and a part of the ideology, because you control people through guilt, and you certainly control people through making them feel as though they need to pay some kind of penance for immutable characteristics. He wanted people to repent for what in his case would have been like religious values.
Yeah, religious values, a lot of the academia.
Yep.
Because again, like you'll see when we get to Pol Pot, those are the people that threaten his kind of control on the population. Because if they can say, well, actually, no, it's not this. You shouldn't plant your seeds 1.5 inches apart from each other, or whatever it is. You should space them out a little bit.
Right.
And he's like, oh, no, that's bad. Well, if someone's contradicting him, then he all of a sudden doesn't seem like this deity figure.
Right.
His cult of personality starts failing. So you got to get rid of the smart people first.
Right. It was certainly based on similar identity politics. Now, of course, in a place like Mao's China, it was much more monolithic as far as the race of people. So they separated people through identity politics, largely through ideas or class structure, or, for example, if you had proclivities in certain professions, which is kind of ironic because the government pretty much dictated your profession.
Yeah.
And then I was like, hey, by the way, that job you're doing, you shouldn't be doing that. So we see that today with these struggle sessions on campus, whether it's apologizing for your whiteness, apologizing for your male privilege. Matter of fact, I think Netflix, not a big fan, of course, because of cuties. They actually had a show, Three Body Problem, where they recreated one of these Mao-era struggle sessions. It's clip Three Body Tool Man.
姐，你是无法抵赖的。你曾经在教学中散布宇宙大爆炸的反动理论。
直到目前为止，宇宙大爆炸理论最可信的宇宙起源理论，
简直一派胡言！这个理论居然假设了时间的起点。
你说什么？那起点以前有什么？
没错，这就给上帝的存在留下了位置。
你是想说有上帝？
无论有没有，科学都没给出确实的证据。
大脑发动闪烁裁判验证台，打倒一切反对学术权威，造反有理，公民无罪。
I couldn't believe it because, first of all, that was a book written by a Chinese author. And so I couldn't believe the author was able to get away with writing that. But that depiction is so accurate. And the scary thing that a lot of these struggle sessions and the Cultural Revolution was led by the students, the student movement, the Red Guard, right? And you see that the shouting down of people that you disagree with today.
Yep.
It is so apples to apples to what is going on in a lot of our universities now that it's, I don't know how you could watch that and not just be terrified of what we're seeing now.
Well, go ahead.
Well, the answer that I've watched a little bit of that, but the answer that he gave was like, science has given us neither proof of God or proof that tells us that God doesn't exist. It was a very neutral answer. It was a very scientific answer saying, hey, I don't have anything. Science can't address this issue. And even then, like you saw his daughter, that's his daughter in the crowd, and his wife on the stage that had betrayed him because they had forced her to. And her reaction, she knew that was a death sentence. And it was like, that's like, you didn't even take a position.
Right.
But the position that they were basically pushing is like that the state, the leader is deity.
Yeah.
And anything else would be set up as a contradictory deity. Like, obviously Hitler, same thing, kind of set himself up that way.
Right.
So,
yeah, but that's central, by the way, to communism. It is central to far-left ideology. When people say religion is the cause of all wars, well, okay, Stalin, Mao, Pol Pot, you look at these are distinctly atheist in one form or another regimes. And they would kill people for being religious. So it's human nature. And by the way, even if you say you're not religious, even if you say that you don't believe in God, something is your God. Everybody serves a master in some capacity. Today in the United States, a lot of people serve themselves as God. They simply craft an altar and they turn themselves into an idol. However, in these governments, the state had to be the god. And you see this too with Mao, and it goes to Kim Jong-il, actually his father, and of course Kim Jong-un, where they encourage children, they encourage sons, daughters to report their parents if they are not on board. And that's very similar in a cultural way to "Okay, boomer." Right, that's the thing too. Like people will say it, by the way, even if you're like, well, hold on a second, you're in your early 30s. They go, "Okay, boomer," just because there's a difference of opinion. There was a point in time where people respected our elders because we thought they had wisdom to bring to the table. A lot of people try and paint this picture of, the ancient mystic, or you see this in, the Chinese elders. No. They were completely disrespected if they did not fall lockstep. Why is this so concerning too? Specifically at this point in time in history where China is really the greatest threat at this point to global stability, should they choose to act up, right? It really comes down to, does China want to come into the 21st century and start perhaps recognizing human rights? But when you take into account that Mao's legacy still lives on in a lot of ways, for example, a lot of older Chinese citizens still have a positive view of Mao to this day. That's an undercurrent in the culture at large there. There's a 116-foot statue, right, of Mao located in, is it Tongzhou County?
Yeah.
Tongzhou County?
Tongzhou County.
That's so big.
Yeah.
Does it build one of me in Germany?
Argentina.
Yeah. Buenos Aires has a couple nice.
5 feet tall, though.
Well, we'll fill you in a little bit. I think there's a memory lapse that takes place.
Yeah, he punched out a little early.
Yeah,
so.
he did punch out a little bit early. But you know what? Tim Kennedy's still finding you. Hunting you, I should say. Is embalmed.
You never find me, Tim.
Well, till he tricks you every time with Ollie oxen free.
I'm here.
Stop falling for it, Adolf. You don't have to come out.
I won't.
And Mao's embalmed body, still on display in Tiananmen Square. Here's a clip of his corpse. I don't like it.
There's a very well-known place in China called Tiananmen Square. We all know why it's so famous. Because that's where Mao's mausoleum is. So there used to be this dumb 600-year-old gate at Tiananmen Square, but the communists tore it down in 1954, and when Mao died in 1976, they thought it would be a great place to put his tomb. Under the watchful eye of dozens of heavily armed army personnel, people from all around China come to pay their respects to the great helmsman. The mausoleum opens at 8 in the morning and closes at 4, but so many people come to see the mummified Mao, they have to cut the line off at 12, or else the people at the end of the line wouldn't make it before closing time.
And something that you see with a lot of these dictators, to me, it's kind of funny. Like we talked about with Kim Jong-il, had 11 holes in one in his first
shot a negative 38, is that what it was?
Yeah, 38 under par.
38 under
round.
par.
Yeah, first round of golf.
All holes in one.
It's like they sit down with a conclave. We're like, how about I tell them I can fly? Like, no, it has to be realistic. So they come up with these lies. So you think they're a deity where it's like, hey, they're just like me, only infinitely superior. They always love to show you how good they are at things. And you'll notice particularly with this region of the world, these dictators, you'll notice there's kind of a through line here, whether it's Mao, whether it's Pol Pot, whether it's Kim Jong-il. They show you how athletic they are, and nary a black man to be found, of course. But here is Mao showing people his swimming prowess because he wanted to impress them. And this is just something that these narcissistic sociopaths do. It looks like a water birth.
What? Does he not believe in bathing suits?
I don't know.
Like, put your egg roll away, bro.
He's blinking too, like he's never been in water before. Like,
it burned.
I mean, you think, but how is that showing them how great of a swimmer he is? He's barely moving.
He's not a great swimmer at all.
Was he trying to show people that he could swim really well?
A ton of people took up swimming after that, actually.
Really?
Yes.
Floating on their back and kind of kicking every once in a while with 15 people around to make sure you don't drown, you tub of lard?
Yeah. Well, he's buoyant. That's the thing. High body fat percent.
I didn't think about that.
He's making an effort to physically improve himself, and that should be commended.
Why are you defending Mao?
I forgot he was here.
Yeah,
I'm not defending Mao. It's that people of any size and any size is healthy can improve themselves.
Yeah, Hitler.
What?
Yeah.
Just shut up, Sam.
He called you Hitler, Mr. HR.
Yeah.
All of you are going to be in my office after this is over.
We won't, though.
You will.
Hey, Sam, why don't you, whenever you're ready, not right now, but later, go in your office and just wait for us, and we'll be there.
We'll be there Friday around dusk to meet you if you don't. Does that work?
About 9?
9:30.
I can't do that. You guys obviously know that.
Shut up. I don't know what he's talking about. Let's go on to Stalin again in these final brackets. By the way, Papa Doc, draftdictators.com, the official bookkeeper of the Great Dic-Off. Turns out now is a 600, right?
Really?
Underdog. Yep.
Moving
It's changing. Smart money for Papa Doc. Dark
people
horse.
are stupid?
No.
And don't know who Pol Pot is?
It's because people are hopeful.
Oh, my God.
Let's go on to Stalin. Now, Stalin, obviously, the numbers vary wildly. We talked about this. You already have the death count. The lowest that you're looking at is about 20 million people. People can go up. I've seen people go as high as 40. Let's just
Communist dictatorships aren't great at record keeping.
No, they're not very good at record keeping.
How many people did you starve to death? Well, not many.
Well, I don't know. We killed all the people who did math.
Well.
Although we didn't serve anybody.
But we have long tables. They built tables.
We have very long tables. That's how you know I'm a powerful dictator. I don't know why they all want long tables if they go to dictator's office outfitter.
Yeah.
But it's just for some reason
It's
that's a through line
impractical.
that you see. Let's look at the.
All their friends to come over and hang out.
Yes.
No, they don't have friends.
Maybe they have a little steak, or maybe they have a fish dinner.
I don't understand the implication.
Okay.
Oh.
It's a party.
Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like a lot of this. Let's look at the wars that Stalin was involved with. Obviously, the Russo-Finnish War, that was 39 to 40. You really look, there was a real spell of Russia at war with a lot of people.
Well, they don't play well.
Finland was forced to cede land to the Soviet Union. 100,000 Red Army soldiers actually died. 26,000 of the Finnish died.
And
that's a trend.
Russians
That's
won.
a through line with Russian battle tactics.
Yeah, just throw more bodies at it.
Exactly.
Throw more bodies at it. Throw more bodies at it. And I've said this in the past. That's the difference between a psychopath, Hitler, and a sociopath, where it's just, hey, you know what?
Thank you. I have feelings too.
You had feelings, unfortunately, only for a select group of people, where if you look at Stalin, he didn't even have feeling for his own people. It was about creating this utopia, this idea, right? The idea is the only thing that matters in human life, is sort of inconsequential in achieving that idea. That's the difference between a sociopath who has no empathy and a psychopath who has a very, very warped view of reality. And I think that if you look at a lot of these dictators, you're dealing with sociopathic tendencies. But I'm not a doctor. There was the Continuation War, 44 through 45, and this is where Finland, Dintersnap attempted to try and regain some of the territory that was lost. There was actually a famous Finnish sniper who allegedly killed over 500 Soviets.
Jeez.
With either a sniper rifle, or the historical records, again, not super accurate, or a machine gun. Seems to me like we should be able to narrow that down, but we've searched and we couldn't. Luckily, we have a clip.
Throughout many interviews, he consistently sidestepped questions about the specific number of enemies he had neutralized during the war. Official figures were anchored in Heiha's own recounts, but they came with stringent verification standards. Each downed enemy required confirmation from his comrades, and only those who were undeniable made the tally. If multiple snipers targeted the same foe, no count was recorded. Only his sniping victims were counted. His exploits with the submachine gun, a weapon he wielded with comparable mastery, were omitted from the record. On December 21st, 1939, Heiha achieved an astonishing milestone. 25 confirmed downed enemies in a single day, surpassing his previous daily best of 23.
Wow.
Those are good numbers.
Pretty good numbers if you can get them.
Yeah.
He would go high in the draft.
Yes, he would. Yeah. He'd be a top pick. He had a lot of sons. Stalin, he was, if nothing else, he was potent. But something that I do think is important that you see with Stalin, and you'll see again, how does it connect to today? Really preyed on envy. Right, and this is a big part of communism. That's why it's always kind of funny to me where they say, capitalism, where they'll say that free enterprise is about greed, right? You all know the Gordon Gekko speech. I don't understand, and someone can explain to me, and you can comment, why it's considered greed to want to keep what it is that you have earned. And even let's grant it. Let's say that is greedy. I don't understand why that is greedy, but to the left and to people like Stalin, to people like Mao, to people like Anita Dunn, Barack Obama, whether it's former Vice President Biden, they don't view it as greedy in wanting to take from your fellow citizen what you haven't earned. Either way, let's just say there's a pie. Okay, if you say that, I've earned these 5 pieces of pie, that's greedy. If you say, I want those 5 pieces of pie, even though I've done nothing for those 5 pieces of pie, for some reason that's inherently altruistic. And this is a brilliant trick that you see with these dictators, what they pull is they tell you that, no, you're actually virtuous in playing on your greed. Don't you want what they have? Yeah. It's not It's nothing that they've done or anything that you haven't done. It's a system that's rigged against you. Because now that it's the system that's rigged against you, it does not come down to individual responsibility, personal liberty. It's you need a savior. Hey, what's got two thumbs isn't going to commit mass genocide and will improve your life? This guy. Every single time. Or woman, but let's be honest, they're not effective.
It's the guys, yeah.
That's something that you really see with Stalin. A lot of playing on envy. And that's, of course, a deadly sin.
Well, and it seems kind of weird. Like, Stalin, I don't think, was the natural successor for a while, but then he was kind of put in place, almost seen as kind of somebody you wouldn't think would be the natural successor, and then came to power. It seems like that's kind of the format. Like, you end up with some kind of a dictator. You don't want to put a strongman next to you in second command because they'll just take over and take you out, basically. Right. So you pick somebody who you can control, and then you end up picking some of the worst possible people that are weak men that have to absolutely exert all of their power that they possibly can and kill a ton of people to make sure that their weakness is never discovered, right? Mm-hmm. So I look at that. I look at Russia today, and I see that perpetuated through to today. So I'm saying, I know these guys are pretty equally matched with Stalin and Mao, but Stalin, because of what he's carried forward into Russian culture today, I think he probably has my vote. I know we're not there yet, but I'm just saying, like, you're still feeling the effects of Stalin in a very major way in Russia today.
But you know what, though?
Like
yes,
Vladimir Putin.
Well, I agree, except for the fact that, they've sanitized Mao so much. They've done such a good job of suppressing Mao. Some kids learn about Stalin a little bit because it's kind of imperative with World War II. Like, you can't fully explain how it ended if you don't touch on Stalin. They're not really required to touch on Mao. I would wager that most kids
I didn't study much of Mao at all.
Well, and
in school, you never learn a thing about Mao. That's why Anita Dunn can come out and say, look to Mao, and no one says, wait, what? If she said Stalin, at least a few people would have some questions.
Well, the trick that they can pull, and here's where I'll slightly disagree, is that there is certain elements of Stalinism that are inherently baked into the Russian system and the psyche or whatever. But the CCP is a direct continuation of what Mao started.
That was the only other kind of counterbalancing.
And right now, China's kind of tricked the world into saying, look at this you can compare China and Russia, and China looks miles ahead of it in many ways that it is.
Yeah.
And so you can look at China and kind of say, well, look at the economic development, look at the people they've raised out of poverty, and it's all bullshit, but at least you can kind of make that facade. When the system that undergirds it, right now, Xi is a direct return, and he envies what Mao did so much. He wants to be Mao. So I think there's Mao's legacy is very, very strong today.
Yeah. I think Mao is certainly most alive and well of these dictators today.
Yeah.
That would be my position.
He died off, and he's had a real comeback with like Xi Jinping's.
Well, I don't disagree there, but I think we're dealing with more of the legacy of Stalin today with Russia than we are with Mao in China. So I agree that Mao, obviously, is still very alive and well in their policy today, but I feel like China is the greater threat overall. But I feel like the kind of like you said, they fooled people into thinking that, okay, we've gone to the kind of this a little bit more open system where people can go out and actually make a living and pull people out of poverty, and we have all these great cities and technology and great things going on. I feel like you can negotiate with that better than you can negotiate with the system that we have in Russia right now. I may be wrong.
I don't think the system in Russia nearly as closely resembles the system that Stalin would have put in place. So I think it's been much more.
No, I mean like a strongman system. Like it's a strongman who wields control over everybody else, who wasn't necessarily a strongman to begin with. And like Vladimir Putin was not a strongman to begin with. Like he came into that role as like the third choice, essentially, to be in that role, and then he seized power once he got close to it.
He seized power, but he's
kept it.
But he is also a direct subordinate to Mao's successor.
Well, now, I guess he is. Okay, well, then maybe that makes sense.
Yeah, you know what I got to say? I think, you know what? See, this is the beauty of the show, is we can change our mind. Hey, interesting fact about Stalin.
He likes Asians. Got it.
He actually had to push a buzzer when he was speaking so the attendees would stop clapping. He was that loved. Here's a clip.
Keiner wagt es, als Erster mit dem Klatschen aufzuhören. Eine besondere Vorrichtung hilft aus der Verlegenheit.
You will clap longer for me?
Enough.
Well, sit down, please.
It sounded like the shower alarm.
Oh, my word.
Man. What? To clean yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Dip in the pool.
It looked a lot like a Jimmy Kimmel set to me.
Yeah, it did. It did look like a Jimmy. Also, he didn't clean his pipes. Had sour pipes. Stalin. He was kind of messy.
probably the least of his crimes, though, right?
I don't know. I think it's offensive. You have a nice briar pipe. That's craftsmanship at its finest, and you should respect the hardwoods because they're more difficult to work with. Not like
It's
a
not
soft
like a cast iron where you let it seat.
Gosh.
Nope. You gotta sweeten the pipe by anyone out there, any pipe smokers out there. You know what I'm talking about.
They all hate you.
You just don't clean it. My point is, you don't do that to a pipe. He could have had servants do it, for crying out loud. Yeah. I'm gonna call this one. Mao moves on. Lane convinced me. Let's hit it. Fuhrer. Mao moves on to the final two. There you go.
He kind of deserves it.
He can breaststroke right on up to the final two. Let's knock Joseph Stalin out. That must feel good for you, Adolf.
Yeah, that's you finally.
Yeah, it feels great. In fact,
that's petty.
That'll show him after he beat
I'm
the crap
petty.
out of you.
Yeah, that is pretty.
You
petty.
should call me Tom Petty because I'm the singing the boy of the song. You know what? Don't worry about it.
Well, maybe you should have listened to Von Pallas and your other commanders who knew what they were doing while you, a lowly corporal, mustered tens of thousands of your men to their deaths.
You know what? Maybe when you're trying to insult Hitler, you shouldn't give him helpful advice.
That's right.
I fell asleep this whole time.
Like D-Day. Again.
Like we'll just let him fail, Sam.
Yeah. Just give him enough rope.
In your people's best interest that he not succeed.
All right, we're going on down now to. I guess we go to. Is it to Pol Pot or to? I think I lost. Where is Pol Pot in here?
He's right after.
No, Saddam. I know he's right up there. I think I have his note here somewhere. Where is Pol Pot? I know.
After so damn insane.
After who?
He's on
Saddam
page 9.
Page 9. Boy, we did a lot.
Hussein.
And by the way, you can thank your research team here. None of this happens without you at Mug Club,
right.
and I'm hoping that's a good thing.
Join the Mug Club. Only $89.
Don't do that. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
No,
please stop.
We don't need that attachment.
It's like George W. Bush's endorsement of McCain.
Yeah, use the promo code HitlerBad.
Yeah, you know what? Let's put up a promo code right now. Let's make it Hitler Bad, and it's good for exactly 8 hours. Hitler Bad.
What's the discount? What do you think?
You're the CEO, Gerald.
$9 off.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I have some good ideas, I've been told.
Yeah, $9 off. Well, marketing was your forte. Like, I get it. Marketing, PR, public speaking. Got it. Okay.
How else are you going to get people
We
to
need
go
a graphic
into
artist to design. You think you could help us with that? Or how is art?
No, I stole my designs from the Indians.
Indians.
He's talking about the swastika.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, the real Indians, feather, no, not feather. Yeah.
So Pol Pot. Let's go through Pol Pot. And this Pol Pot is the heavy favorite to win just because, he I think was it 6.5 Hitlers yesterday as far as a percentage of population.
Yeah.
People don't realize how many people were executed by Pol Pot. And by the way, in a really short period of time, too, right? Ginger Snap, that's what we talked about. That really is surprising.
Very short period of time. And he was classically educated, I believe, in France.
Paris.
Yeah, in Paris. So it's not like
radio engineering.
Yeah, exactly. And he came back and he tried to make Cambodia into an agricultural powerhouse. Basically saying, get out into the fields and plant rice and we'll become a power in the world because people will depend on us for rice production. And so that's when he cleaned out the cities. He killed all the teachers. He killed the people with glasses. He split families apart. Like there's the Killing Fields movie where there's this scene where they walk up to the chalkboard and the kid erases the hand holding of the stick figures between parents and kids and everybody claps. Like, so disconnecting people from their families. Like this guy did every evil thing that we've talked about everybody else doing, but on a much more effective scale within his own country. If he'd have been a part of a larger society, I don't know if it would have held, but still he tried and did incredibly bad things.
And I will tell you this, in speaking with a lot of people out there, and even reaching out to fans, of course, you guys are a great sample size. If very few people know about Mao, if everyone knows about Hitler, and a decent amount of people know about Stalin, but not with granularity that would be required to understand the misdeeds, very few people know about Mao. Almost no one, relatively speaking, knows about Pol Pot or the atrocities that he committed.
And this was the late 70s. Like, this wasn't that long ago. I was in Phnom Penh, in the capital city in Cambodia, and you're looking at people old enough to have been around when this stuff went down, and you're at the high school in town where they would take and imprison people, and they had the famous picture, I think it was on the cover of maybe like Time magazine, where it's a woman sitting straight up like this. Well, it's because they had a metal rod that she was sitting on for her butt to go on either side of it, and a point on the back of her head, and then they had guards around, so you saw a second angle from that picture. And it, like, they took people to that high school to then kill them. It was just a giant place of death within the midst of that city, and people that were still dealing with that are alive.
And this brings us, we can bring this to modern day issues. We'll talk about some of the history as far as the wars that he was involved with. I think a big reason, you guys can comment if you disagree, a big reason is because, it goes back to the 70s. A lot of people like to think, hey, let's take the good from collectivism, from communism, from these ideas. And we're at the point now, it's 2024, we're past human nature. I mean, come on, we're not going to have genocide to that degree today. We can have socialism without all of the baggage. Because people may not know this, Noam Chomsky actually downplayed what Mao did. He talked about what was going on in Cambodia and saying that there was a lot of good. Of course, he tried to walk it back and say that he was taken out of context, but we'll provide the link here. I encourage you to go check out this reading. One of the most respected intellectuals in intelligentsia, Noam Chomsky. If you read it, seems pretty cut and dry, relatively pro-Pol Pot. To me, any pro-Pol Pot is kind of a red flag.
Yeah.
And they still, that's why would you want to point to Mao? Why would you want to point to Mao if you're in academia right now and you want to say Donald Trump fascist, right? And they did the same thing with George W. Bush, fascist, right? NoFX, Rock Against Bush, that was a big album, right? Green Day, fascist. You want to say that fascism is right wing? People were to look to actual examples, more recent examples of fascism. I'm sure you could look at some happening really today. Of course, we discussed Africa earlier in the program. You'd go to Pol Pot. You'd certainly go to Mao. We'll talk about Papa Doc, but Pol Pot would be the most significant in recent memory. Oh, wait, that's right. A lot of our academics were pro-Pol Pot. A lot of our academics were trying to justify the actions really in the, sort of this wake of Vietnam. And I wouldn't want to draw attention to it. So I really, if nothing else, Mao, but certainly Pol Pot is one that you should spend a little bit more time with the research that we are providing for you. It's an incredible, to me, it's just a fascinating character study of the human condition and one that really has been swept under the rug. And did you learn about Pol Pot in school? Or if you're in school, like many of you, are you learning about Pol Pot? I'd be willing to bet that the answer is no.
No, and again, it's just another example of where the government comes in and says, this is what we'll do, right? I just told you he wanted to become an agricultural powerhouse. They couldn't get enough rice to feed the people planting the rice, much less export stuff and become some kind of a powerhouse, economically speaking. Like it's the government coming in and saying, hey, we're going to do this thing this way. And everything is the government's. Everything that you're doing has to work towards the collective good. And it falls on its face every time. And that wouldn't be that bad of a problem if everybody voted for it and not having tens of millions of people die or a significant percentage of your population. But that's always what happens. Yeah, it's not like they just try something and it's like a business failing where you reorganize and go do something else. Right. It's that millions of people end up dying, and it's the same pattern every single time they try it.
And this is where I will say, too, the free capitalism has become a dirty word. But when I'm discussing free enterprise. I do think that we've come to a dangerous position here today through crony capitalism. So I want to be clear. This is where people talk about the rise of populism. Well, that can mean different things in different eras and depending on the country by its very nature, by definition. When you're talking about communism, socialism, the problem is if someone is inept, let alone if someone is a sadist, if someone is evil, once you centralize that power, there's no mitigating it. At least with free enterprise, the idea is that people either rise and fall based on the quality or the need of their product, their goods or services or commodities. It's a safeguard. It's a safeguard against the human condition of corruption, of evil, of selfish motivation. However, we do find ourselves at a point in society today, and nearly all of these people, by the way, in these 5 to 10 companies, would tell you that they would be more influenced by leftist ideology than, of course, for example, Adam Smith. You have only a handful of companies now that are in charge of the vast, I would say, huge swaths. I don't know if it's the vast majority. I don't want to misspeak of our economy. When you're talking about Alphabet, Google, you're talking about Meta, Facebook, Instagram. You're talking about a few key media companies, whether it's, you're talking about Comcast, was it ABC, Disney, NBC Universal, Viacom, I believe it's Turner, Comcast, News Corp. And then you really have, few big tech companies. We mentioned Google, Meta, Apple, Amazon. Hey, think about that. All of these people now are controlling so much of what you can see, what you can learn, what you hear. I mean, SEO, search engine optimization, is not a thing anymore. They determine what it is that you see and what you read. So it's not lost on me that capitalism in modern America because of the leftist ideology and because of the fact that we've picked winners and losers with our government. And just look at what we do here with the Federal Reserve, for crying out loud. This is not a free market economy. And we are going to face some of the same ills unless there's some kind of a course correction, just because when you centralize that much power, you cannot point me to an example where it's ended well, ever, including, we go just to the 1970s with Pol Pot. That's why I think Pol Pot is so interesting.
Yeah.
Centralized power is a very, very dangerous thing. Not saying that decentralized power guarantees good results. Hey, but at least it gives you a fighting chance.
It does. It allows for them at least.
Some other notes about, the wars initiated here with Pol Pot. The Cambodian Civil War, obviously. There was, I know that he captured, how do you pronounce this?
So, Phnom Penh.
Phnom Penh.
In 1975. You need to stretch,
it's the one time.
There?
Yeah, sometimes you get caged up.
Mm-hmm.
You need to let the old marchers loose.
Yes.
Your marchers are barking?
Yes.
Oh,
Danke.
Also, interesting fact, the United States dropped more bombs on Pol Pot than Japan.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. True fact.
Was that when we were fighting the Vietnamese?
Yes.
In Cambodia? Yeah, well, so, okay.
Can't say that we didn't help.
The commies, and the Cambodian commies.
Can't say that we didn't help create Pol Pot.
Yeah, but then the Vietnamese went in and took care of him. Kicked him out of power.
Which is where which is an argument that I'm saving for the finals.
Oh, no. Okay. All right.
All right. So what do we have here? Anything else? No. You know what? Okay, we have Pol Pot versus Papa Doc, dark horse in all of this.
What? Well, that's racist.
Yeah, I keep saying it.
Okay, fine. What do you
Why
want?
is he a dark horse? Because he has the dark skin?
Yeah, that's what we insinuated.
That's not you guys said that.
School wasn't really your thing, huh?
Maybe he's just a dude who was working in the coal mine.
That's worse.
He's down there in the coal mine.
I understand the implication. Yeah, you don't need to.
Someone to make the sounds.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cave in.
Yeah, you talking about the Chileans, which is also a tragedy.
No, I don't know about that, but
yeah, well, that happened, I guess, when you were still dead in purgatory. So, Papa Doc, obviously not as consequential. Okay, it's not. This didn't.
You have a fascination.
I didn't miss it. I just find it fascinating where a guy who clearly didn't believe any of the shit that he was peddling fooled an entire nation.
He committed.
He really did.
Committed to the role.
We talked about it yesterday, but a guy who really is effectively an atheist who tells him, like, I'm going to go into a meeting, close the door, goes in with like chicken bones and a skull candle. He goes in and he's just like eating a TV dinner.
Yeah.
He's watching reruns of The Rifleman and like, oh, Papa Doc, we better do what he says. Like, that is, to me, I get it's terrible for the people who had to live under his rule, sure. But it's also really funny. And I read this yesterday, but I just have to again because I couldn't get through it. Papa Doc had his own Lord's Prayer.
He did?
Yeah.
Wait,
oh, that's right. You weren't here yesterday.
I wasn't. No, I haven't.
Here's what. Yeah, this is something that he would make people recite.
Should I take off the hat?
No, it's okay.
Maybe. Okay. Respect?
Not for this one.
No, you can leave it on.
Halfway.
Although, honestly, I think at this point, respect in this facet is the least of our concerns. The Lord's Prayer. Our Doc, who art in the national palace for life.
What?
Hallowed be thy name. By present and future generations, thy will be done. At Port-au-Prince and in the provinces.
Oh, okay.
Give us this day our new Haiti and never forgive the trespasses of the anti-patriots who spit every day on our country. Let them succumb to temptation and under the weight of their venom, deliver them not from any evil.
Wow, it becomes petty very quickly.
It really does.
And you have to make sure you kill those people. I was like, wow, okay, all right.
Port-au-Prince.
And yeah, Port-au-Prince and also the provinces. Hey, how's that new Haiti coming?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you're asking, give us this day our new Haiti. Well, that hadn't happened yet, bro.
You know what they say?
Old hate.
So, no, Haiti. It's a place. It's a... You wouldn't
but he's
like
old
the people.
school. He doesn't
You
fully
wouldn't.
understand.
They're not, they don't like the food. So,
But to be fair, they do call New York City the Port-au-Prince of America. So.
Yes, Mayor Adams.
Yeah, that's true.
It's also the Zagreb of America. It's also the Paris of America.
It is.
And the Tel Aviv of America.
It's not.
Boy.
Well,
of course you're going to chime in.
Well, the funny thing is that's probably the most accurate.
It'd be more
It
like
is,
the Jerusalem of.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's not. Really,
Tel Aviv works better.
Well, I don't know. What are the people in Williamsburg called, Sam?
The Satmars?
The really strict ones.
Yeah, those are the Satmars.
Yeah. See, so Jerusalem, right? I'm closer, aren't I?
Maybe. Yeah, it depends. Either could work.
All right. Well, Whatever. You don't know.
Hairs.
That was surprisingly civil
to Papa
with
Doc.
Sam from HR. I feel like this is a coup. I feel like he's about to take over the show. That's what I feel. When he's nice, there's a problem.
He does have probably the legal acumen to do so.
He probably does.
Yeah.
Did you go to law school?
No, I was a disappointment. I have siblings who are doctors and lawyers, but I was the black sheep of the family. I went into HR.
Yeah. Yes.
They're all disappointments.
Wow.
I think your position's pretty well known. I don't think you have to whisper.
I didn't want him to hear me.
It still helps.
They have great ears.
We are going to have a long and serious talk after the show is over, Hitler.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll have great effect.
Yeah. He'll repent of his ways.
Just let's go to here's a clip of, I don't even know what it is. It's just a clip of Papa Doc. I just need a second.
But this little man's believed to have executed 2,000 Haitians and has certainly driven 30,000 into exile and the rest into terrified silence. All Haiti lives under the threat of his tontons, his bagmen, his executioners. To provoke these overarmed bully boys is to invite a beating or death. For each nationalized hoodlum is armed, each licensed to kill. A missing Haitian would be unimportant and unnoticed, but a foreigner's arrest or death can be ordered only by the president.
That man with the rifle looks like Idris Elba.
Yeah,
Those are like the best looking Haitian dudes of all time.
You know what he's doing? He's like, you know what? Those Nazis, the one thing they had going for them, Hugo Boss and marching. These guys, they look pretty well dressed.
Those were Italian threads.
A very
They
good
were
friend
nice.
of mine, Hugo.
Hugo Boss?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were pretty nice threads.
They were very nice, very nicely dressed.
Yeah. I mean, I will
Bad people.
It's one of the few things where they made some people, like Haitian Americans, would be better off in Haiti as far as those threads compared to like the purple suit store. So
suit stores are everywhere.
Papa Doc had only 4 children, which surprises me.
Why?
Why? Just I would think he was virile.
He's prolific.
He has 4 children that we know of, which is less surprising. And his only son. Watch, out of everything today, that's going to be.
What, he'd run out to get a pack of smokes?
Until his third son got drafted in the NBA.
Oh, you made Hitler laugh. Good. Yeah, your day is complete.
I like the racist joke. That's so fun, you know?
Every now and then we like to have a laugh.
Yeah, well.
His only son, Jean-Claude, is the most famous. And Jean-Claude is known as Baby Doc. Everything about this is funny. And he assumed the presidency from his father at age 19, Lil Doc, to the uninitiated. And he mismanaged the agricultural land so badly, he caused an exodus of Haitians abroad. He looted the treasury before fleeing the country. And when he was asked in court about the human rights abuses, his response was, deaths exist in all countries.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yes, you can't. Okay, fine, Papa.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yes, the apple doesn't fall too far from the Papa in that instance. So you know what? In this case, he's had a good run. Thank you, DraftDictators.com official bookkeeper of the Great Dic-Off. But I think that Papa Doc has sort of worn out his welcome here.
Yes.
And the final 2 is going to be Mao Zedong and Pol Pot. Führer, you may do the honors. Quite the physical humorist, the Chancellor.
I think it's okay.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
That's
good.
Just
that's good. They're straight. I don't know if you noticed something. With the final 2, we're about to name our great winner of the Great Dic-Off.
I just think you should answer for
final 2.
What should I answer for?
I mean, I don't.
Well, I think you have to change your dating profile.
What's the?
I will definitely have to change my dating.
What's
profile.
the theme?
Yeah. What is the theme?
I don't know. Just tell us.
Communism.
No. Well, okay. What are the themes? Maybe there are multiple themes.
Stalin was a communist.
Well, Asians are more successful. At
Tiny eyes.
Well, you know.
That's not untrue.
I don't think the eyes themselves are tiny. I think the.
Yeah, maybe the pictures.
Yeah.
But big hearts.
I don't know about that. That's not how I would put it.
Small eyes, big hearts can't lose.
Penis.
Small eyes and full hearts. Cholesterol, because a lot of them died from
they're Asian.
Heart failure.
That's what I was going to say.
I haven't noticed.
Small eyes, but they did not lack vision.
I love Asians.
I don't really have much more to say about this. I mean, it's just funny to me that we narrow it down, and it really comes down to, I mean, this battle. Do you think they would have liked each other? Or no, the Chinese don't like the. They don't like the.
No, they look down on that part of the world
else.
very, very.
I know, but looking at these pictures, Pol Pot looks lighter skinned than Mao.
It's that French Riviera.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but I was
It's the lighting in the photos.
It could be the lighting, but I saw Mao swimming.
Well, he was a man of the people. He was out laboring.
He was out laboring.
Yeah, you know.
He was out laboring. Yeah, destroying the crops.
Floating.
I just wonder if you were to look at this, you would, if you didn't have the names, one would assume Mao is Pol Pot and Pol Pot is Mao. Like a Freaky Friday.
You could.
Communist.
Can you imagine that movie? That'd be
like,
wow.
I'm in you, you're in me. Wah! I don't know. Yeah.
I got to cancel my Saturday plans.
Yeah.
Yes.
or Pot Zedong. Pol Zedong.
Mao Pot's pretty funny.
That sounds like my favorite gentleman's club.
Okay.
Pol Zedong.
Pol Zedong.
I've got the dongs you can pull.
Well, you can only do it so many times before it becomes chafing. I would say
this is tough.
It comes down to a total number. I think.
No, can't be that.
The total number of deaths, Mao.
For sure. Yeah, he
is
runs
the
away
worst,
with it.
Obviously. I know what you're thinking. Like way, way worse. I think the scale is we'll bring it up how many Hitlers. But as far as percentage of the population, you have to give that to Pol Pot.
Yeah, but so I'm going to go back to Lane's argument a little bit earlier, how Mao has affected kind of current day stuff. Pol Pot hasn't. Like the country basically turned around after that. Not they haven't become successful necessarily, but they went and
killed everybody.
No, yeah, basically, yeah.
They hosted a survivor.
Everybody.
Well, I mean, they basically they've moved away from that way of thinking as a country, right? Whereas China has just continued it and perpetuated it. So I think Mao, even though his number's bigger, even though Pol Pot has a higher percentage, I would kind of lean towards Pol Pot. I would go back to Mao because of how he is affecting current day.
I understand that. He would be my counter argument. I'm not saying I disagree with you.
Okay.
I'm just being a contrarian. Because why not at this point in this program? I think that Pol Pot was more of a personal sadist.
Yeah.
Pol Pot, Pol Pot went full throttle. Mao still kind of tried to at least put on this veneer of, no, we actually know what we're doing and there's a reason that we're purging these people while keeping these, as far as intellectuals. Like Pol Pot just said, glasses, out.
Yeah, well,
he
he basically said, F it.
Yeah.
Everybody gets out of the cities now. I don't care what you do.
Right.
Everybody gets out of the cities except for some elite people. So, yeah, I can see that. And even in his quote, when we talked about that, he was basically saying, like, look at me. Do I look like I can't remember what he said. Do I look like a villain or do I look like a vicious person, I think was the word that he said in the interview that we quoted. But just this.
It's not really fair. It's such a leading question.
I know.
Tiny
It's
Asian man to Western Americans. Like,
yeah, he's
I'm
like,
not going to be intimidating.
I'm not that
He
bad.
said, I came to carry out the struggle, not kill people, even now. And you can look at me. Am I a savage person?
Savage person. I knew there was a V somewhere.
Yeah.
Vicious, savage. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. It's really hard. It really is, because if you put Pol Pot in China, does he kill the same percentage of the population? Right? Because the number would have been much, much bigger, obviously, over time with that kind of percentage. Because if he had done what he did in Cambodia, in China, it would have been crazy.
He needs to be on a good team.
So I think it depends what you value here. And the one thing that I would take away from Pol Pot is he had a very short reign.
Yeah.
And the Vietnamese were like, no, we don't want this anymore. And as soon as the Vietnamese really decided they didn't want it anymore, he was out.
Yeah.
So he didn't really have much power outside of his own borders. So that's a knock against him. But what I will say is, to your point about sadism, Mao killed a lot of people with his ineptness.
Yeah.
His agricultural policies, his, the Four Pests campaign, things that were just stupid.
Right, yeah.
So that resulted in starvation and people just dying. Whereas Pol Pot came in, had 3 years, said, I am going to straight up murder all of you and do it how I want, when I want, for no reason.
Well, and a lot of people starved as well, but they call them the killing fields. It wasn't the starving fields.
Right.
It was the killing fields. So I know the majority
People
of them
did
were
starve, but the majority of people that died in China were
Right.
people that starved because of the communist
Right.
policy,
Yeah,
not because of a gun to the back of the head, even though that did happen.
It's a different starving.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I would take your point and say, yeah, that's right. He was only there for really a few short
Very
years.
short.
But that, again, brings us back to such a huge percentage of the population. And it shows you how dangerous an ideology can be like that, where in less than half a decade, talking about, was it 30+% of the population?
Yeah, about a third of the country or something. At least 25%.
At least 25% is the lowest estimate of the country. Imagine from COVID to today.
Yeah.
Imagine a quarter of the United States being murdered.
No, I know. That's why
killed.
you put them in a population center that's higher. Well,
it's a hindquarter.
I didn't hear what he said, and I don't like your response to it.
No, you shouldn't.
I don't know. This is really tough. This is tough. If you have to put a vote in.
If I ran it through a Madden simulation, I think it would be 5-5, because they're both bad dudes.
Yeah, it's like the Marciano Muhammad Ali simulation.
I think if I was leaning Mao, I think I'm going back towards Pol Pot because of the sadism factor. Like you said, Mao made really, really bad decisions.
And to be fair, they both got boned by the Vietnamese when they tried to mess with them, so you can't really hold that against one and not the other.
No. I'm not going to hold that.
I don't know. I think the sheer brutality, and if we're going, and again, that counterfactual, if you put Pol Pot in China with that power, what could he have done? I wouldn't even want to know. So I think actually Pol Pot kind of probably does have a vote on that.
Yeah. Next to Hitler. Hitler's obviously number one.
Yeah.
In a bad way. Right. Maybe Pol Pot wins. What do you think?
I was going to go Pol Pot, and then you put me on the Mao track, and now you're back to Pol Pot.
But he
so
made
I
a
feel
good
as though you're
point. He
disloyal.
made a good point about the number of people that he straight up just had killed, as opposed to making bad decisions that lead to their death, which is still really bad.
Yeah.
But if you're going after the person who is the worst dictator in history, it's probably not going to be the person who just made bad decisions.
Okay.
It's the person who killed most of their population with a bullet.
Let's narrow this down, and I don't like what he's doing when I can't see him. If you're
is the Walther safe?
No, it's of course it's based.
Is he going to do us a favor a second time?
It comes down to, I think we would all agree, the lasting impact of Mao, right? It still lives on to this day. And by the way, I would say, let me go back to that point because I think it's going to push me one direction. So the lasting impact of Mao, certainly more significant than Pol Pot. As far as personally, who was the Pol Pot?
Yeah.
Pol Pot was the worst. If you're going to take Pol Pot, the man, and they're both pretty bad, right? We're splitting very fine straight black hairs at this point. I would say that the legacy of Mao is not only one that had a more lasting impact, it's still one to be concerned about today.
Yeah.
It really is still, we're
Nobody
living
would
under
push
that
for Pol Pot's kind of policies right now, right? But people still push for Mao.
Well,
you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
Well, they're not all that different as far as policies. It's just that people feel like they can sanitize Mao enough that Anita Dunn feels comfortable. These politicians feel comfortable going out there and saying, like, yeah, actually, kind of like they do with Karl Marx. They don't want to tell you that Karl Marx was firing off N-bombs like it was his job. They don't want to tell you that Karl Marx was a racist. They don't want to tell you that Karl Marx believed in violence as a means to an end. They don't want to tell you. They go, well, Karl Marx, it's a beautiful idea. They kind of pull the same trick with Mao.
Yeah, but you can't. That's what I'm saying. You can't do that with Pol Pot. He may have had some of the same ideology, but he just killed people, pushed people out of cities. Nobody's going to go for that. Like nobody's going to be like, "Hey, Pol Pot, let's do the push people out of cities things and make everybody farmers."
Mao did that too.
Mao did that too. That's what I'm saying.
Not like Pol Pot.
Whole
not even
program
close.
for it.
They had
Not even like not close
Down
to Pol
from the
Pot.
mountain into the countryside.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's fine, but still, he didn't kill what 30% of the population.
No,
in
I
doing
agree.
So?
Yeah, it's just it really depends the metric that you're valuing the most.
Yeah.
Because valuing
Sheer brutality, Pol Pot. Lasting impact, Mao.
Yeah.
Here's one thing that I will say. I think to determine this, we have the final 2K draftdictators.com actually has this as kind of even right now.
Even.
So you can still place your final
very
bets.
short.
Yeah, I will say since we have obviously the ultimate comparison because Mao, Pol Pot, we all know, of course, doesn't even hold a candle to Adolf Hitler. Hitler bad, worst dictator ever, not even close. Even though they killed far, far, far more people than Adolf Hitler, and just as evil and as of an ideology. But of course, Hitler's the worst. The worst. You should learn about Hitler all the time, and you know these are kind of afterthoughts.
Hitler is a dick, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely, just terrible. No one, and you know, everyone else pales in comparison. We've covered that.
Agreed. Yeah.
However, that's separate from the respect for the office. And since we do have Adolf here, I think that he'd probably be closer to this in determining. This is the tiebreaker. All of us are conflicted.
Yeah. We are. So what is Hitler?
What do you think, Mr. Adolf Hitler? Who would?
We have this guy and we have this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do the math, the winner is me.
Oh well. You know
okay,
what?
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Okay.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I think the worst one is the one that has the haircut of young Nick DiPaolo.
So
not a fan, huh?
Yeah. Is it because of the haircut?
No, I think you make good arguments, and this guy really is kind of a piece of shit. He's a Scheisen, this guy. He kills his own people, and there's no difference.
Yeah.
They don't have different color hair or the eyes or 4 eyes in your case. But
right, thanks. Yeah. Well, he wouldn't have lasted in Pol Pot's killing.
No, I'm first on the list.
I would go with this guy.
Yeah, you're going to go with Pol Pot. You know what?
Pol Pot's the first one, I think.
Yeah. I think, you know what?
This guy did it by accident. This guy really driven.
Well, it's kind of it's like 60-40 accident deliberate for either one, right? They're both pretty bad. All right.
Oh, man, look at this guy. He's an idiot.
Okay.
I saw him swimming, too. Terrible form.
Yeah. All right. You know what? We'll go with Adolf. Anyone have a problem here with going with Adolf Hitler's choice for worst dictator?
No, I think Pol Pot.
So we're in agreement. You all agree with Hitler.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Let's skip.
I don't.
All right. Yeah, but let's finalize the board. And the worst is Pol Pot. Don't know how magnets work.
It's a new technology.
All right.
It's not.
We took all their best.
I think that this has been, you know what, actually, I'm really glad that we did this. I think this has been, it's been gratifying for us to work on here. This has been a long time coming. Hopefully, equal parts educational as well as horrifying. And and by the way, that has nothing to do with the historical reasons. Just what's going on here in this studio. And I would apologize, but I feel like you'd smell blood in the water and use it against me. So I stand by it. This is one of those situations where, boy, this is something that everyone out there should already know. This should be remedial. For example, we've talked about Change My Mind. The reason that Change My Mind started was because so many kids would say, yeah, our professors don't talk about any of this. They don't present any of these counter arguments to whatever it is. It could have been the Second Amendment, could have been the First Amendment, could have been immigration policy. And this has been a long time coming because we have so many chats. If you guys are on Mug Club, we take them regularly from people saying, I realize all I know about is Hitler. I don't know enough about these other dictators. And this would be one of those instances where it's something that we do with every program. And I hope that more shows follow suit. We make all of our sources, our references publicly available, but that bibliography here for these 2 installments, probably the most important that we can provide because I really do hope that you take some time. You know what? Consider it a book. You can create a printout. You'd probably be left with a couple thousand pages, but peruse it, learn about it, and be armed with this information moving forward so that, hey, if you need to, you can educate your professors or people in your circle who bring up Hitler and often compare people who are conservative to Hitler. Ask them about Mao. Ask them about today's winner, Pol Pot, but don't tell them about how you came to find this information. You don't need to tell anyone of what you saw here today. Adolf Hitler, I hope I never see you again. This has been the Great Dic-Off. Join Mug Club today for $89 annually or try it mugless for $9 a month. You can sign up at louderwithcredit.com/mugclub for the entire catalog, including Nick DiPaolo, Brian Callen, the Hodge Twins, Mr. Guns and Gear, and of course, Alex Jones, along with 100% more of this show.